Hey, girlfriends, and to everybody else, what up, YouTube? So, happy Friday. Today, we are going to be talking about this viral video of Lauren London talking about relationships and ego. So, I watched the whole entire thing, and I mainly like what she had to say about the relationships and ego and whatnot. There's a few things I'm going to add in here in between, but first, let me play you the viral clip in its entirety, and then I'm going to talk about it and show you some other things. Stick around.
Think about it until I wasn't in relationship anymore because of the death, right? A lot of times, not all the time, we are in such of in our ego that we are in possession of another person. We're not experiencing them. We're not totally loving them and letting them be free. We think we're supposed to be together forever. And that's not a spiritual relationship. Spiritual relationship is without the ego. It is we are together. I bring you up, inspire you, you inspire me. Now, if there ever comes a point where I'm not inspired anymore and that now I'm in my ego, now I feel I need to possess you. Now I feel the need to control you and you're mine. I'm in my ego. And that's not love. There's love in there, but now I'm operating more in my ego and not in my pure love. And I can say this because I operated from these spaces before.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you mine.
Yeah.
And can't nobody, you know what I mean? But that nobody is yours unless the agreement is that we're going to experience Earth a little bit longer than some. Right? I just don't feel the need to participate in my ego and someone else in theirs anymore. And I've experienced pure love. I am not without pure love. I might not ever be married, but I experience pure love. And that's with
You
it.
experience it now.
With it. I got that. I got to see that on Earth.
Woo.
I don't need to do that again. I like to feel enlightenment with God. Now, like I said, I don't know when I'm 50, 60, 70. But 37,
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good. I don't want it. I don't want it.
So how did you get that?
So, before I move forward and share my thoughts on what Lauren is talking about and more about ego and relationships and whatnot, I wanted to share with you this TikTok video I saw. It's by Guided Inspiration. She's an energy reader, and I would love to share this with you to get more concept about Lauren and what she's talking about.
Down for people.
Yes.
About relationships and ego, and because some people probably don't even think about that.
No, and I didn't think about it until I wasn't in relationship anymore because of the death, right? A lot of times, not all the time, we are in such of in our ego that we are in possession of another person. We're not experiencing them. We're not totally loving them and letting them be free. We think we're supposed to be together forever. And that's not a spiritual relationship. Spiritual relationship is without the ego. It is we are together. I bring you up, inspire you, you inspire me. Now, if there ever comes a point where I'm not inspired anymore and that now I'm in my ego, now I feel I need to possess you. Now I feel the need to control you and you're mine. I'm in my ego. And that's not love. There's love in there, but now I'm operating more in my ego and not in my pure love. And I can say this because I operated from these spaces before.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, absolutely. You mine.
Yeah.
And can't nobody, you know what I mean? But that nobody is yours unless the agreement is that we're gonna experience Earth a little bit longer than some. Right? I just don't feel the need to participate in my ego and someone else in theirs anymore. And I've experienced pure love. I am not without pure love. I might not ever be married, but I experience pure love. And that's with
You
Nip.
experience it now.
I mean, with Nip. I got that.
If you've ever wondered what a spiritual evolution looks like, this is its portrait. Open crown, open alta major, balanced gestures that use tableau in order to explain with language as the language telegraphs along with speech. Earlier in this interview, Lauren talks about her ego death. Now, I want to break down for people what an ego death is, because what remains when the ego dies is just the soul. Okay, so what's the difference between the two? Well, the ego seeks competition and seeks to separate our partners from the rest of the world. That is the possession that she's talking about. But the soul believes in we, in unity, in the eternal, in the communion of the souls on this plane and every other. It is the ego that experiences lack, lust, and pain, but it is the soul that serves the collective good and flourishes in the abundance of pure love.
So that shit is pretty deep, right? So while I have known about ego love versus pure love and whatnot, I have not really expounded on it at all. And I don't know why. So I'm going to do that today. So what they're talking about, let me give you the exact definition of what ego love is and what it looks like. So ego love is the possession and control and gaining something in exchange of giving. Authentic love, in contrast, is selfless. It does not involve possession, rather a sense of admiration for the person without wanting to change or control anything about them, but rather share and contribute to their life. Now, listening to those definitions, I want you to take a moment to think about which one have you been operating in. And I'm going to give you a spill on myself, because honestly, I have always in previous relationships operated out of ego love. But let me tell you why. And this may resonate with you as well on why you may have operated in ego love or why you currently are. So, for me, I feel like you operate out of ego love when you basically a wounded ego. I'm just going to say that. And a wounded ego can come from a traumatic upbringing, something traumatic happened to you, period. Whether it was a heartbreak that you haven't healed from, whether someone caused you trust issues, whether you didn't get the love and connection you needed growing up. It can be a number of things. When we operate out of our wounded ego, what we're basically doing is that's how we were taught to survive. Or we may have been taught that that's what love is because maybe someone else loved us out of their wounded ego, maybe a parent or caregiver. And so your parent and caregivers, they ideally show you what love is by how they love you and by how you see them loving each other as well. I guarantee it, more than likely some of us had some parents that were possessive over us. And so with that being said, I want to move into how I identified with loving out of ego to maybe give you a better understanding. So what happens is that we pick partners based off of our wounds, really, is what I'm saying. And sometimes those wounds, we are not really aware of them. But if you had a traumatic upbringing in any sense, and let me tell you that traumatic upbringing doesn't have to mean abuse of any sort. Traumatic upbringing can be if you had to deal with anything, any hard feelings alone. It could be that you were bullied in school but came home and didn't have anyone to talk to about it, and you dealt with that alone. As a child or even a teen, your brain is not yet able to function and think on the level of, okay, I'm being hurt. This, you're gonna basically blame yourself for whatever happens to you. You're not aware of what's going on unless you have someone there to comfort you. So whatever it is you went through, and you went through it on your own, that can be trauma. Some people, well, so many times we get caught up in that phrase, oh, I didn't have a traumatic upbringing, my parents loved me, or we're so quick to, jump to the fence. But I want you to know, trauma can show up in numerous ways, and it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Just want to clear that up. So moving forward with me, I picked partners that that mimicked my upbringing. And I didn't realize this while I was picking them. So, like my exes, looking back, they all were like my mother. My mother and I, we get along great now. Don't get me wrong. I love my mother. She is like my rock, everything. But that doesn't negate the fact that I had a traumatic upbringing due to how she wasn't able to show up for me. I know it's not her fault. I know that, but I still went out into the world picking partners that were emotionally unavailable like her. People that were verbally abusive like her. And because I thought it was normal. And so what I ended up doing is, since I didn't know really how to pick partners, I couldn't do anything but possess them, because I needed them to love me. I needed them to prove I was worthy. I needed them to prove that I was worthy of being chosen. I wanted to possess them because I wanted to keep them, especially when they loved bomb me in the beginning, and I fell for the future faking, them talking so highly of me about what's going to be in the future, leading me on, a lot of sweet talk. I fell for that. And so then when I was deep in it, it was too late to get out, because here I am now in this with you. You've shown me a glimpse of what love can look like, and I'm believing you. Now I need to possess you in order for you to not hurt me, cheat on me, in order for you to not leave me, in order for you to prove to me that I am lovable and that I can actually change someone with my love. That's the exchange that's going on most of the time that we don't realize. We're in relationships with people that really can't be what we need them to be. Maybe they've shown us a glimpse and we were sold on that. But as soon as they change and switch up, maybe they are avoidant themselves. Maybe they have their own issues. And then when I say avoidant, I mean that possibly they want connection and love as well, but they are unable to do it consistently, because once the shit gets deep, they flee and they run because they're afraid now. I've seen that happen a lot. A lot of people confuse that with narcissism, and it could be, but I don't like to loosely use that term narcissistic, because not everyone that hurts you is a narcissist. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's just not. But either way, if you've dealt with a narcissist, someone that's avoidant, someone that just basically breadcrumbed you and was back and forth with you, and you were confused on their behavior, how can you not possess someone like that? How are you not living out of your wounded ego? Because think about it. If they showed you a glimpse of who they could be, then you're sold on that. Now, don't get me wrong, that you possibly could have looked for more than just the surface level. Like, the surface level stuff I'm talking about is like, they are there for you, taking you out on dates. They show up for you. They sweet talk you and charm you a lot. That's like really heavy in the first month or so. They talk about marriage, how they've never met anyone like you. They're saying all of this sweet shit to you. So in your mind, you're thinking, this is it because of what they're telling me. I don't have to look for anything more. And you thinking that you don't have to look for anything more, and then the shit just suddenly switches up on you. How can you not possess someone like that? How can you not do that? know it's difficult, but you can. So, what I'm getting at, if you don't want to operate out of ego love and more so out of authentic love or pure love, you have to be careful of your choices. Someone can make you want to operate out of ego love. Now, what Lauren stated about her and Nip and how she was saying that, well, actually, you know what? I have not played that clip yet. Before I move further, let me play the clip of her saying about her and Nip and versus ego love, because I want to give you every aspect of what ego love is. So let me just play it for you.
How did you get that with Nip? How did you put ego aside? And
I didn't get to do it when Nip was here. I didn't get to do it when he was here. I was very much in my control. I love you so much, I wanted to just hold on to you forever. Then life happened. Then it's like you can't hold on forever.
No.
Then I had to learn how to have the spiritual relationship. Then I had to dig deep into myself. But I mean, I wasn't always so in my fear of losing him. Because that's another thing, we get in our fear of losing this relationship, this connection, what our life looked like together. That then we just hold on to it so tight, it ends up slipping out anyway. You know what I mean? Like I said, I lost myself in a lot of aspects of my relationship, but I didn't start like that. It was very pure, good intention. We loved each other, right?
Yeah.
And we loved each other till the end of time. But I was still human, and I didn't learn that part of myself yet. I didn't know I had that possession and like, oh, I love you so much, please don't leave.
That's a good reminder for people to just check themselves.
I mean, it's really hard to learn.
And can you be, because you can do that now in retrospect, but can you do that in actual real life? Not you, but I'm just
I
in
don't
general,
know,
right?
and I don't want to know. See my point? I'm cool. Like, I don't even know if I want to practice that. It's
Right.
hard. It's really
Right, right.
hard. You know what I mean? And,
Right,
and
I
I
get
think,
that.
I do believe in love, and I think love is beautiful. And like I said, I experienced pure love on earth, for real. I can, like, right hand of God. I loved him with every inch of his soul. And I believe he did the same. I just, I think moving forward on earth for me is about God, me and my kids, making them stable. What am I supposed to do here? You know what I mean? How deep am I to go here? I just want to do that.
I think that's fascinating for people.
So the fact that she could not or did not learn that until after his passing, I'm not sure what kind of ego love or whatnot she had. She said it started off as pure love, but then possibly ended up being ego love. So I don't know the history of their relationship. I do know that there were some issues. I think I recall hearing some cheated and things like that. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not here to actually speak on that because that's not what this is about. This is more so about how she's carrying it on now. And I want to inform you all on the difference of the two because I feel this really, really needs to be spoken on. So, I want to continue with me, so to speak, and my possessiveness when I was in ego love. And as I was saying, you have to choose people that are healthy for you and your inner child. And what I mean by that, your inner child, like I stated earlier in this episode, he or she was taught what love is from your caregivers and your parents, from people around you. Because when you think about it, you're born into the world not knowing anything. So that means the people around you are going to make an impression on you, one way or the other. Whether it's caregivers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, parents, how they show up for you, all of that matters. And so your inner child, to me, they understand the definition of pure love. They understand what it feels to be loved wholly and genuinely. They understand emotional connection. They understand it all. They understand boundaries. But the thing is, the caregivers around you as a child maybe do not understand that. And so they strip it away from you at a very young age. And so now you become what they call your shadow self is created. The real you is technically being put into the shadow, and your survival self, so to speak, is out. Because now, like, say for example, I cried a lot as a child, and I didn't have my parents were inadequate when it came to having to cater to someone with such high emotional needs. I will put it that way. And so when a parent is inadequate, they're not going to, if they're, not mature enough to say that, hey, I must be the problem. I don't know how to deal with this child because they're so emotional. They're going to, in turn, tell the child that you're such a crybaby, shut up, you cry too much. They're going to take it out on you because of their inadequacies. And so it's going to make you feel like you're not enough, you're not worthy, and that something's wrong with you for being too emotional and crying too much and being sensitive. That's why I said your inner child knows it all. They knew it all before your parents, caregivers, everybody around you took that away from you because they didn't know it. Maybe because someone took it away from them. And this is how generational curses are created. The cycle continues until you decide to break it and reparent your inner child. You see where I'm going with this? So what happens is that I didn't know how to be emotionally available because I thought something was wrong with being emotions. I didn't know how to share my emotions, none of that. And so I had to reparent myself to learn that. And so your inner child must be reparented, and you must learn how to pick people that are safe and healthy and good for your inner child. This may mean that you're going to pick people that can love you more and better than your own caregivers and parents could. And coming to that conclusion is hurtful. It can sadden you to realize that, I may have not had the upbringing I thought I had. And so that's why it's so hard for some people to experience an ego death. That's why it's so hard. Like Lauren said, it's so hard. What I take that is, it's so hard to not love an ego is because of our wounds. Our wounds won't allow us to do that because we're afraid. So another part in this podcast that with Angie Martinez and Lauren London, Angie stated that we're either operating out of love or fear. And she's so right. And so that fear can make it so hard to have authentic love for someone and not want to possess them. But what helped me was the reparenting that I talked about. I have a podcast episode. I have a Hey Girlfriend podcast episode on reparenting your inner child that could really help. And I also offer coaching to help with that. All the links are below. But continuing on, I had to learn how to pick better people. And when I say pick better people, I mean picking people who live a life that I can agree with, who make decisions that I like, people that can actually love in a way that I can feel, so to speak. Because the thing is, you really cannot control anyone and how they love, how they show. You can't change them. But like I said, if you're operating out of a wounded ego and someone comes in sweet talking you, love bombing you, you can't help but to love from that wounded place. And you don't want to give up because giving up to you may mean that I'm unlovable. They're right. I couldn't get this person to love me like I thought I could. I couldn't change them. That's all ego love. That is all ego love. And a lot of us, like Lauren said, operate in that. She said not everybody, but a lot of us do. And so now, to continue with my personal story, to help you put all this into perspective, I am married. I am in a healthy relationship. And we've been together for 6 years. And it's one of the healthiest relationships I've been in. And I can say that I have often stated that I am okay if we don't last forever. And that may make some of you clutch your pearls, like, what? What? And it can even sound a little scary. But it's like, I am happy in the present, in the now. I don't have to possess him or control him because he makes decisions that I like. I don't have to be in my ego. He is not putting salt in my wounds. And so when someone is not putting salt in your wounds, it's easy for you to love them purely and from an authentic place, like Lauren was talking about. That's the only thing she didn't really discuss, is how to get out of that. So I wanted to talk about that more. But that's how you get out of it. You have to be careful of the partners that you choose, of the people you choose, friends even, of anyone you choose, because y'all cannot change anybody. You cannot love someone in the hopes that they're going to love you back. You cannot love someone so hard and pour so much hoping that they're going to reciprocate. Even for the people pleasers, you may be loving out of ego, a wounded ego, or a wounded inner child, so to speak. You're loving and giving and doing everything for everybody else because you want them to love you back. You want them to think nice thoughts about you. You want them to think that you're a good, nice person. And even furthermore, you want them to provide you with what you need. You're thinking, if I do this for them, they should be doing this for me. But think about it. They did not put in on that transaction. They did not have an agreement to that transaction. It wasn't like you both sat down and said, okay, so I'm going to pour all my love into you, and you better pour all yours into me how I want. I'm going to do this for you, and you better do this for me. That's not authentic love. That is pure wounded. I'm going to start saying wounded ego love. So what you have to do instead is pick better people. And that may be hard because some of those better people may not be the people that you actually want. Well, not the people that you actually want. Let me rewind that a little bit. What I'm meaning is that you possibly are looking and wanting who you want to act the way you want them to act. And the thing is, you cannot make anyone act a certain way. You cannot make who you want to be it. You cannot make who you want to be the one. So that's ego love. You're trying to make someone be what you want them to be and what you need them to be in order for you to not have salt in your wounds. And so you have to take the time to come out of that and realize that those people that can't seem to show up for you and love you, they are not... You can't keep filling in the story and the narrative with those people thinking, okay, I must not be good enough. I must not be worthy. I must not be lovable because these people I want to love me and see me worthy are not seeing it. They're not treating me like I think they should be treating me. You have to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. Everyone has their own thing, their own issues, their own traumas, their own emotional blockages that can be keeping them from giving you what you need. And so when you lose your possession over them, that means you decide to not participate in the type of love that they are only able to give. It means you understand that you're not looking at them from a wounded place. You're looking at them more so from a place of, this is who you are and I'm choosing not to accept it. It's simple as that. So I want to also play something that she stated about being alone. at the end of the podcast that I think you all should hear. So let me play that now.
Well,
See, I just need to be like a nun somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not really. I mean, I respect you, and I understand your decision. I really do, and I think you're in a beautiful place, and I want you to stay in a beautiful place and stay healthy and safe. But I don't know. As somebody who really genuinely just likes you and connects with you, I think at least you should just be open to whatever God puts in your path at some point. But that has nothing to do with you. That's mine.
That's just that.
That's just me. That has nothing to do with you.
People feel. Yeah, I think people, and it makes people afraid to hear me say that because then they have to, not saying you, but like then it's like, can people really exist by themselves?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of like
and have the full
It disrupts fantasy. It disrupts this notion that we have to be in these like strong relationship
units.
Yeah. And here's the truth. If my situation didn't end via death, I'd still be in it deep. You know what I mean? Not even having this notion of this. And maybe if I did, it would have came in another lesson. It just came in this one.
So that's some pretty heavy stuff. And I can't say that. Well, you know what? I can say that I could get to a place one day to where I'm like, I just would rather enjoy life with God and my friends, my people around me, and be alone. And what she said, you know what? It's just really hit me because, earlier, y'all, when I said that I am okay if my marriage doesn't last forever, now I can say, I mean, I want it to. I'm not saying that, it's going to end or whatnot. I'm just no longer in that possessive state. And it feels freer. I feel like a weight is lifted. I can enjoy it peacefully. It's more peaceful. It sounds scary, but once you heal those wounds and once you're okay with self, it's like you can be okay in relationship with someone else. But you do have to pick someone that you don't feel a need to possess and change. I will say that. But she stated that she learned this lesson about being alone, ego death, and ego love, and authentic love, and all of that. She stated that she learned that with the death of Nipsey Hussle. So I'm wondering, like, what if me and others can learn that due to the depth of a relationship, like the ending of a relationship that was basically mostly only ego love, or was based in a lot of that. What if the depth of a relationship, like if you go and listen to this whole entire podcast, she talks about depth. And the way she talks about it, I was thinking, like, you know what? You can apply that to the ending of a relationship, the depth of a relationship that you really wanted to work, or that ended in heartbreak, whatever. You can. And you can take those same lessons that she got from the depth of Nip and take those same lessons and apply it to yourself and your life, like the depth of relationship. Because I'm going to tell you now, I was not happy operating out of ego love. And I know you're not either. If you're doing that currently, or you have, or you've done it before, it's not fun. It's not peaceful. It's hurtful. And so you want to get to a place to where either, your ego dies and you heal the wounds, and your real inner child emerges out of the shadows. Because I feel like our inner childs are what's in the shadows. They like to say, she talked about shadow work a little bit as well. I feel like in the shadows, people like to say it's something deep, dark, and it's where all the bad feelings are and bad things that you don't like about yourself. That's not entirely true. If you actually look up and research the deeper meaning of shadow and shadow work and self and whatnot, I feel like a lot of our real inner child selves are there in the shadows. And we made them something bad because we had to put that up to survive. Like, for instance, my emotional availability was in the shadows. Because I felt like I couldn't cry. I couldn't show my emotions. I had to be careful about the relationships. I just felt like all of that was wrong because I was told at a very early age that it was. And I was told by people that I trusted, which was my parents and caregivers. I was always made to feel like something was wrong with me being that way. So, of course, to survive my childhood, I had to put away that part of me. And so as I grew up into an adult, I was out here picking partners that were emotionally unavailable as well. But y'all, let me not get off subject because that's a whole nother topic. But I'm just saying, y'all, this right here opened my eyes a lot. And this was a lot of information that I knew, but I never had the words to convey it until I came across this interview with Angie Martinez and Lauren London. And I also saw what the energy reader had to say. And I'm like, that reminds me of so much. Like, I knew this stuff, but I just forgot about it. So I had to share it with y'all. And I hope you found it helpful. And so I'm at the point in my life now where I could be alone. I wanted to end it with that. Like what she was talking about being alone, I feel her on that. I have great friendships. Me and my mom get along now. I told y'all that. Like, yeah, growing up it was different, but I have a great relationship with her. And it's like people just aren't yours to possess. And to keep you from out of that possession, you have to heal those wounds. You have to heal that fear. And because the wounds are what's causing you to be scared, you have to heal that so that you can operate out of authentic love and you can pick partners that you don't feel you have to possess because you don't like the decisions they make or how they operate in the world. Like maybe they've shown you who they are and you thought that's who they were, then they change, and all of that can come into play. You have to be one with yourself to know that if they switch up on me, it's not because of me, it's because of who they are, and I'm tapping out of this because I don't want to love out of my ego. I want someone that I can love from a pure, authentic place. So I'm telling you, once you get to this place, it's healing. And for a while, I thought something was not wrong with me. I thought it was a bit strange that I'm in this marriage and I'm not in possessive mode. I'm not in, I need this to be forever. I don't know what I'm going to do if we divorce or it ends. I'm not in that place. I can live without him. Do I want to? No. Am I going to jeopardize it so that I can't live without him? No. Am I sabotaging it? No. I'm just happy and peaceful with right now because all we really have is right now. I'm peaceful in this connection. And it's because I healed those wounds and I picked someone that my inner child could thrive with. I could be my emotional self. I can cry. I can laugh. I can be happy. I don't have to control. I can set boundaries and not feel like I'm going to lose them. I can set boundaries with others, my friends. I pick good friends that I feel that I don't have to possess and control. So, yeah. This got deeper than I thought it was going to get, y'all. It really did. And I was tearing up over here a little bit. Especially talking about the child part and whatnot. And the inner child and growing up and all of that. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's because those wounds, I think I teared up because those wounds from my inner child and from my childhood, I'm healing through them, but I don't feel like they'll ever fully go away. Because that was the most impressionable time of my life, of anyone's life. So the most impression was made on me then. So that, I don't cry over exes because that was just a point in my life. That chapter closed, I'm alright. But the childhood, I think I'm always going to have a soft spot. Because your inner child doesn't go away. It's always there. That's why I say it's so important to work with him or her. It is. So I challenge anyone listening to this to do the work. It's hard. Get you some help. I offer one-on-one coaching to help you with that. To help you remove blockages that can be stopping you from operating out of authentic love. Or, to help you heal wounds that you may not have known about. I help you with all of that. It's not therapy, but I can say it can supplement therapy. Because I speak from a place of I've been that girl. Hence why my platform is called I've Been That Girl. I operate from that place so that you have someone to relate to. Therapy gives you the technical, what's the word I'm looking for? Therapy gives you more of a technical term and can diagnose you. And they do a lot of what I do as well, but from a more clinical standpoint. Mine is just the standpoint of like, I'm like your friend going with you to therapy. Look at it like that. So both can go hand in hand. So that wasn't a shameless plug. I just actually want everyone to feel this way, operate this way, and have this peace. I love the peace that has come over Lauren. So I hate saying that everything happens for a reason. I don't want to put that on his death because I feel like some things don't really happen for a reason. They're tragic and the reason doesn't have to be there. But she has made a beautiful reason out of it. And she came out with this piece. And you can just see it on her face. See it in her actions, her hand movements. And she's in a happy, peaceful place. She's not in the place of, oh, I want love so bad. Or, oh, I'm still, she went through all that, she said. But she's in a good place now. And I love to see it. And I would love to see it for anyone. Think of it as depth of a old relationship you're trying to get out of. Or you're trying to move on from. Healing inner child wounds. No longer surviving and thriving. I want everybody to thrive and not just survive and operate from that wounded ego. But that's all I got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to tune into my podcast episodes as well because I'm a deep person. Lauren stated it a lot in her full podcast. I'm a deep ass person and I had to be in order to heal. And I talk about a lot of deep shit. A lot of shit dealing with relationships, period, and love, period, and all that. I talk about all of that. So my podcast on here, hey girlfriend, check out some episodes. Episodes are updated every Sunday. I try to. Sometimes it's every other Sunday, but I be on here posting. So until next Friday, when we talk about something else, another episode of Kindall Says, that's all I got. Peace out.